She looked me dead in the eye, standing in our kitchen, and said, "Grow up, Tyler. No one cares about your birthday." A second later, my phone buzzed. Group chat. My whole family. I opened it. "No one's coming to your party, grow up." From my mom. And right beneath it, "No one's coming to your birthday party, grow up." From Jenna, my wife. The woman I'd been paying $10,300 per semester for med school. The woman driving a car I bought, living in a house I built, eating from a fridge I stocked. And she humiliated me like that. On my birthday, in front of everyone. I stared at the message. My thumb hovered for a second. Then I typed. Understood. I didn't scream. I didn't ask why. I just stood up, walked to my office, and in less than 10 minutes, canceled her tuition payment, froze every card she'd ever used, scheduled the repo for her Audi, changed the locks, emailed her med school, and pulled her emergency contact info. Then I sat back down, looked at the carrot cake I'd bought, her favorite, not mine, and whispered, "Happy birthday, Tyler." The thing is, that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part? She didn't come home that night. At 2:38 a.m., I watched her sneak in with Gucci bags and someone else's cologne on her neck. She thought I was sleeping. She didn't know I was done. And that tomorrow, she'd lose everything. She didn't even see me sitting in the shadows. Just walked past the living room like I didn't exist. Like the man funding her entire dream life wasn't 10 feet away, watching the lipstick-smudged smirk on her face as she tiptoed toward the bedroom. The Gucci bag swung lightly in her hand. She was still humming, like she'd just won something. I waited, listened, heard the closet door slide open, then the unmistakable sound of her phone unlocking. She giggled, whispered something too soft to make out. Then she laughed, a quiet, soft little laugh that told me everything I needed to know. She was talking to him, the guy who gave her that cologne she tried to cover with vanilla body spray, the one who told her I was too boring, too slow, too safe. And I still just sat there, not out of weakness, out of calculation, because now I had a name. Brandon. She slipped up last week, left her iPad open while she went to shower. I didn't mean to snoop, but the message flashed big across the screen. "You still wet like last night, babe? Brandon. I can't stop thinking about you inside me. Jenna." I took screenshots, sent them to myself, then deleted the originals. She never knew. And now, here she was, humming and sneaking in, with bags she didn't buy and a man she didn't marry on her mind. The next morning, I was already dressed by the time she came down. She looked fresh, new makeup, clean curls, like someone heading out for brunch, not guilt. She made herself a smoothie, scrolled through Instagram, didn't even look at me, then said, casually, "Can I use your card? Mine's acting up." I looked at her over my coffee mug. "What card?" She blinked. "The Miamex. It declined at Zara." "Did you?" I cut her off. "All your cards are done. Accounts frozen. Tuition canceled. Car's gone too. They're towing it now." Her jaw dropped like I'd slapped her. "You're joking." "No," I said. "But you are. You've been a joke for months now." She went pale, then red. "You're being crazy." I stood up slowly, reached into the drawer, and pulled out the stack of printed screenshots. I tossed them on the table. She stared, didn't touch them, didn't deny them either. Just said, "That's not what it looks like." "Then what does it look like, Jenna? You texting Brandon about how good he makes you feel? About how you fake it with me? About how I'm just a wallet with legs?" She looked away, said nothing, but her silence was louder than anything. I saw everything. The hotel receipts, the lingerie charges, the Uber trips. You weren't even hiding it well. Now she was shaking. "Tyler." I was confused. "You work all the time. You don't touch me anymore." I almost laughed. "I don't touch you because I started to feel like I was sleeping with a stranger. A liar. A parasite." She flinched. "Good. You disrespected me in front of my own family. On my birthday. Do you know how that felt?" "Tyler, I raised a hand. "No. Save it. Because here's what's going to happen now. You're going to pack your designer *T. You're going to leave this house by tonight. And if you ever try to come back, I'll make sure your little med school dream turns into a nightmare." She tried to play tough, crossed her arms. "You wouldn't." I smiled. "Try me." And that was the first time I saw real fear in her eyes. It didn't last. She snatched the papers off the table, tore them in half, and spat. "You'll regret this. Brandon treats me like a queen. Good. He can pay your bills now." She stormed out, slammed the door, and I stood there, calm, steady, feeling 20 pounds lighter. But this wasn't over, because I had one more message to send. And Brandon? He had no idea what was coming. Brandon thought he was untouchable, the kind of guy who walked into someone else's life, took what wasn't his, and left without consequences. He looked like every other gym-polished, cologne-drenched ego with a perfect smile and nothing behind the eyes. But he made one mistake. He got comfortable. The day after Jenna left, I logged into our shared iCloud account, the one she forgot she was still backing up to. Her messages, photos, even her location, all syncing in real time. I watched as she checked into a hotel downtown under his name. Room 1412. The kind of place that served overpriced champagne in the lobby and gave out monogrammed robes. I waited until midnight. Then I drove there. Calm. Focused. Not to start drama. I wasn't about to throw fists or make a scene. That wasn't my style. No, I had something better. I'd already printed the hotel receipts from her account. Photos too. Screenshots of their messages. I brought it all, in a nice little folder, and handed it directly to the hotel manager under the guise of a legal concern involving an ongoing fraud case. I watched from across the lobby as security went up. 10 minutes later, Brandon was escorted downstairs, shirtless, pissed off, and confused. Jenna followed, barefoot and shrieking like the entitled brat she was, screaming about privacy and her rights. The manager calmly explained. The room was reserved under a stolen card. Fraud. They were being evicted. I stood by the window, sipping their champagne. Brandon spotted me, walked over, chest puffed out like he was still in control. "You did this?" he asked, voice tight. I didn't even look at him. "You made it easy." He clenched his jaw. "She doesn't need your money. Or your permission." I finally turned to face him. "That's good. Because now she has neither." Jenna came stumbling behind him, wrapped in a hotel towel. Mascara streaked across her cheeks like war paint. She saw me and hissed like a cornered animal. "You're pathetic, Tyler." I shrugged. "Still more loyal than you'll ever understand." Then I turned and walked out, letting the automatic glass doors shut behind me like the ending of a scene I had directed perfectly. That night, I didn't go home. I went to my brother's place, crashed on the couch with a whiskey bottle and my phone buzzing every few minutes. Jenna called. 32 times. I didn't pick up once. By morning, she was posting quotes on her Instagram story. The usual garbage. Sometimes people leave because they're afraid of your light. Healing isn't linear. He couldn't handle a real woman. Yeah, a real woman who cheats, lies, and then blames the man for cleaning up the mess. I didn't respond. I posted my own photo instead. Me on the deck of a boat, holding a glass of scotch, captioned simply, "Freedom looks good on me." It blew up. Friends, co-workers, even her cousin, the one who used to text me on the side asking if Jenna was doing okay. They all reacted. The messages rolled in like sympathy at a funeral. That day, I drove to the university and pulled my signature off her tuition loan in person. Showed them the screenshots. Told them to direct all future costs to Jenna Davis personally. Not my concern anymore. By the end of the week, she'd been dropped from 3 classes for non-payment. Brandon? He went ghost. Blocked her, according to the texts I still had access to. Left her with no car, no money, no degree. All she had was her pride. And even that was fading. But I wasn't done. Because there was still one more truth she didn't know. Something I'd kept to myself for months. And when she found out, it would wreck her far worse than any financial ruin ever could. It started with a small envelope, plain, unmarked, slipped into the mailbox of her new rental apartment. The one her sister helped her find after Brandon vanished. Inside was a single photo. Her, sitting in Brandon's lap, laughing with her head tilted back in a dimly lit bar. Across the table, me, smiling. She called me 5 minutes after she opened it, screaming so hard her voice cracked. "What the hell is this, Tyler? You were there. The whole time." I said nothing. Just listened to the panic rising in her throat like floodwater. "You followed us? Are you stalking me now?" Still quiet. Just breathing. Just letting her spiral. "Say something," she shrieked. I finally spoke. Calm. Dead cold. "I bought him a drink that night, Jenna." Silence. "You remember that black amaretto he brought you? That was on my tab. Bartender's name was Michael. Ask him." More silence. I imagined her jaw trembling, her hands shaking. For someone who loved control, she was absolutely drowning in the lack of it. "You're insane," she muttered. "No," I said. I'm focused. She hung up. 3 minutes later, I got an email from her. The subject line was blank. The body contained just 5 words. What do you want, Tyler? I stared at it for a while. I didn't want anything from her anymore. Not really. But she had to learn something. About consequences. About what happens when you set fire to someone who built you a home. I replied, "You'll know when it's over." I didn't send any more photos. Just started letting the weight of her own actions drag her down. She lost her part-time internship when someone, not me, forwarded a few screenshots of her conversations with Brandon to HR. I don't know who did that. Maybe Karma's got Wi-Fi now. Then came the rumors. About how she used to cheat on her chemistry exams. About how she only got her placement because her uncle funded one of the labs. None of it came from me. But I watched it all unfold like a man front row at a fireworks show, holding the lighter in his pocket. Eventually, she called again. Not screaming this time. Just tired. Voice flat. "Are you proud of this? What you've done to me?" "You did it to yourself," I said. "I messed up, I get it. But this is next level cruel." I almost laughed. Cruel? Cruel is sitting in your own house on your birthday while your wife roasts you in the group chat with your mother. Cruel is watching the woman you paid through med school sneak around like you were just a stepping stone. Cruel is betrayal dressed up in Chanel perfume and fake apologies. She sniffled, tried to talk, but I didn't let her. "You're not sorry, Jenna. You're cornered." Another pause. "Just tell me when it ends," she whispered. "When I forget your name," I said, then ended the call. That night, I slept better than I had in years. The next morning, I posted a photo from a coffee shop downtown, smiling across from someone new. Not that I showed her face. Just a woman's hand in mine. Red nails. Peace. And Jenna saw it. Because 5 minutes later, she blocked me. Which was perfect. Because the story wasn't about her anymore. It was about what I rebuilt after the storm she started. And the irony? The day she left, I thought I lost everything. But that was the day I started winning. The days after that felt clean, quiet in a way I hadn't felt in years. Not just in the house, but in my chest. Like someone had finally turned off the static that had been buzzing in the background of my life. I got rid of the last traces of her. The mug she always left lipstick on, the half-empty perfume bottle in the bathroom, her medical textbooks stacked under the coffee table like she actually used them. Gone. Bagged and boxed. I didn't even throw them away. I donated everything to a women's shelter downtown. Let someone else learn from them. Hopefully someone honest. My mornings changed. I started waking up at 6 a.m. again, like I used to before I started orbiting my life around hers. Coffee tasted better without the side of tension. Music sounded warmer. I started running again. The people closest to me, friends I hadn't really seen much in the last year, began coming around more. A few of them told me they never liked Jenna. One even admitted he saw her out with Brandon once, but didn't know how to tell me. And I didn't blame him, because I wouldn't have believed it either. That's the thing about betrayal. It's not that you didn't see it. It's that you didn't want to. One night, I got a message from her sister, Lindsay. Just 2 words. "I'm sorry." I didn't respond. It was raining that night, and I stepped outside barefoot, onto the cold concrete of the porch. Looked up at the sky, and just let it fall on me. No thoughts. No anger. No heartbreak. Just air. Just rain. She was probably curled up in someone else's bed by then, telling new lies with the same lips that used to say forever to me. Maybe crying about her ruined career. Maybe spinning a new story about how I was some manipulative, heartless man who didn't understand her. But she'd never tell them the part where I paid for everything. Or the part where I forgave her the first time I caught her texting someone else. Or the part where I spent years putting her first while she ranked me just above her purse dog and below her Instagram followers. She'd never admit what she threw away. And I didn't need her to. Because I wasn't angry anymore. I was free. A week later, I got invited to a birthday dinner. Mine, actually. Organized by my brother and a few close friends. They had waited until the dust settled to celebrate. This time, people came. Not because they were obligated. Because they wanted to. And that made all the difference. We laughed. We drank. We toasted. I didn't say much when they all raised their glasses for a speech. Just lifted mine and said, to self-respect, to silence, to knowing when to walk away. They clapped. I think one of them even teared up. The truth? I didn't feel heroic. I didn't feel like some champion who conquered heartbreak. I felt like a man who learned. The hard way. The only way that ever really sticks. And if I had to give advice to anyone going through what I did, it'd be this. If someone shows you they don't value you, don't wait for more proof. Don't give them more of your time. Don't build them another pedestal. Just walk. Quietly, calmly, completely. Walk. Because sometimes, the loudest revenge is a life lived without them. And peace? That's the real birthday gift. A few months passed. The world didn't fall apart like I once feared it would without her. In fact, it rebuilt itself, in better colors, sharper sounds, more honest conversations. I got promoted at work. Not because I was chasing it, but because, for the first time in years, I wasn't drained by chaos at home. My focus returned. My energy was mine again. I started dating, too. Slowly. Cautiously. Nothing serious at first. Coffee shops, bookstores, long walks without expectations. Just genuine conversations. The kind I forgot were possible. Conversations that didn't feel like auditions to be tolerated. And somewhere along the way, I stopped thinking about Jenna every morning. Then, one day, I realized I hadn't thought about her at all for an entire week. That's when I knew it was really over. But closure, real closure, didn't come in silence. It came in the form of a message. I was at the airport, waiting for a flight to Denver for a tech conference, when her name popped up. Not a call, just a text. Can we talk? My thumb hovered over the screen. My first instinct was to delete it. But something told me to see where she was going. I replied, "Why?" She answered instantly. "I need to say something I should have said a long time ago." A part of me was curious. Not hopeful. Just curious. So I told her, "Say it here." The typing dots appeared. Then disappeared. Then came back. Then disappeared again. Eventually, she sent one long message. "I thought you were boring. Safe. Predictable. I thought Brandon was exciting. And maybe he was, for a while. But he didn't know me. Not really. He didn't build anything with me. I burned down a house just to dance in the ashes for 5 minutes. And now I'm alone. And I know it's my fault. I'm sorry, Tyler. You didn't deserve any of what I did to you." I sat there, letting the words settle in like a spilled drink across a clean table. I didn't feel vindicated, or smug, or even angry. I just felt done. So I wrote one line back. "I know." That was it. No forgiveness. No cruelty. No opening for conversation. Just closure, the kind that doesn't need anything in return. She didn't respond. She wouldn't. She got what she came for. And I got to board that plane without any ghosts trailing behind me. Today, I don't tell this story because I want pity. I don't tell it because I need applause. I tell it because someone out there is sitting in a quiet kitchen, staring at a half-eaten birthday cake, wondering why they feel so empty. Wondering if they're going crazy. If maybe, just maybe, they're the problem. You're not. Sometimes, the problem is the person next to you pretending to love you while secretly resenting your stability. So if you're in that chair right now, listening, reading, watching, here's your permission to walk away. Because you're not boring. You're consistent. You're not weak. You're loyal. And one day, someone is going to love you for all the things she called too much. That's the story. That's how it ends. Or maybe, that's how it finally begins. A year later, I barely recognized the man I used to be. Not because I changed beyond repair, but because I finally stripped off the layers that had been choking me for years. Layers of overcompromise, quiet tolerance, and slowly suffocating pride. My house felt lighter. Not just from the absence of her perfume or the constant clatter of her passive-aggressive presence, but from the air, the energy. You could breathe here now. And when people visited, they always said the same thing. "Man, it's peaceful here." And it was. Because peace isn't something that lands in your lap. It's what you build after chaos scorches everything fake to the ground. Sometimes I drive past her old campus. Not intentionally, just on the way to the gym or coffee. Every now and then I'd wonder if she ever went back. If she found a way to fund her classes again. Or if she finally admitted that med school was more of a mask than a dream. Something to look ambitious while drifting through a life she never earned. Other times, I'd catch wind of her name in passing. Mutual friends. Old coworkers. Once, a guy I met at a networking event recognized my last name and said, "You're not related to Jenna Davis, are you?" I smiled. Not anymore. That answer always shut it down quick. But what stayed with me most wasn't what people said about her. It was what they said about me. Things like, "You seem different now, stronger. You're not carrying that tension anymore. You actually laugh now." Because they were right. I was stronger. And not because I had won some ugly breakup, but because I had finally remembered who the hell I was before I let love twist into something transactional. Before I let comfort become currency. Before I let her gaslight me into believing that loyalty was boring and consistency was weakness. And yeah, there were nights I remembered the soft moments, the ones that feel like lies in hindsight. Sunday mornings in bed, her head on my chest, whispered promises. But then I'd remember the group chat. That one line, "No one's coming to your birthday party, grow up." I'd remember how cold it felt, how small I felt, how the silence afterward screamed louder than any fight we ever had. And I'd remember how damn right I was to walk away. So I moved on. Fully. I met someone. Someone kind, curious, grounded. Not flashy. Not dramatic. She didn't need a spotlight. She was the calm. We met at a bookstore, of all places. She laughed at the same line in a novel I was holding. We ended up getting coffee, then talking for 3 hours straight. She didn't ask about my past. Not at first. She just let me be me. And when I did tell her, months later, she didn't flinch. Didn't judge. Just listened. And then she said something I'll never forget. "You didn't lose her. She lost you. People like you don't come around twice." That night, I stood outside under the same sky I had once watched alone in the rain, and I whispered, "Thank you." Not to her. To life. To pain. To lessons. Because sometimes the worst thing that ever happens to you is the beginning of the best thing you'll ever become. And if you're reading this, sitting in that lonely kitchen, staring at a cake that nobody showed up to eat, know this. The people who mock your heart never deserved a seat at your table. And the ones who do, they'll never need to be reminded what it cost you to still believe in love. That's not the end. That's your rebirth. I never wanted revenge. Not really. That was just the wound talking at first. The part of me that needed to scream into the silence she'd left behind. What I wanted was clarity. A clean break. A reason. Something that made the nights I spent building her future feel less like a waste and more like a chapter one could close without bitterness. But the truth is, closure doesn't come with apologies. It comes in acceptance. One day I woke up and didn't check her Instagram. Didn't wonder where she was or who she was with. Didn't replay old arguments in my head, trying to dissect where I went wrong. Because I didn't go wrong. I showed up. I gave my best. I loved her past her expiration date. And she threw it away. So I did the hardest thing a man can do. I let her. And I started over. Not with someone else. That came later. I started over with me. I remembered what it was like to be proud of the man in the mirror. To wake up without guilt that wasn't mine. To speak without filtering everything through the fear of setting someone off. I stopped being afraid of walking alone. Because I realized, alone is better than half-loved. Alone is better than disrespected. Alone is better than betrayed and told to grow up for caring. So, for any man who's been humiliated by the one person he thought would never do it, I want you to hear me when I say, it's not your fault. Your love wasn't the problem. Her inability to value it was. You will heal. It'll take time. There'll be nights that ache like cracked ribs. But I promise you, one morning, you'll wake up, and peace will be louder than the pain ever was. And when you do, you'll realize she never broke you. She revealed you. And what she revealed was a man who refuses to stay small for someone too shallow to understand his depth. That's not heartbreak. That's freedom. That's the end. And that's the beginning of everything that's real.